Hello and welcome to the 236th episode of Pandemically Speaking. I'm Abby.
And I am Melissa.
For our first segment, Scotty will be...
Scotty, I thought we weren't calling him Scotty.
Are you attacking me? Within the first 10 seconds of our show.
Well, you're no Ted Cruz, but I'd say maybe it's time you pull a Drake Bell, change your name, and move to Mexico.
What does that have to do with Scotty?
Nothing. I just figured it'd be a good segue.
Welcome back to Whack Attack with me, your host, Scotty Smith. And, last week we did yoga, and obviously it didn't go too well. But this week we're going to tone it down a little bit so I don't get all sweaty and hurt myself. I'm going to play a song, or play several songs, with a wacky instrument. Now you may be wondering what instrument that is. I'm going to show you right now. It's in this box. You may be wondering, what's in that box, Scotty? Well, let me show you. This is concertina. Now, concertina is a wacky instrument. It's not a very popular instrument for today's pop music and pop culture, but this past winter break I picked it up and started to learn it. Alrighty, so this first song I'm going to play is the first song that I learned fully on the concertina. It's called Stashu Yashu. It's a polka. So the next song we'll be playing, or I'll be playing, is called Under the Bridge. So this next one is called the Concertina Polka. This one is very difficult to play considering that the song is based around this thing right here. So they want to make it as difficult but make it sound as good as possible. So I'm going to try to play it and see how it goes. This one is green sleeves. This one's difficult. It's an example of playing on here and me having to push it in so I could keep playing flawlessly. So, let's do this. Alrighty, so thank you for tuning in for this week of TC Weekly and Whack Attack. Glad I got to do this one because I didn't hurt myself like last week. So we'll see you next time and have fun. So stupid.
Well, that was definitely something.
I think it's time we discuss the elephant in the room. For most of the country, it's been a very eventful week.
Indeed, Abby. Texas, a state whose temperature is typically warm, is being attacked by snow accumulation that has not yet been seen in Wisconsin, a state that's known for its frozen tundra.
Good thing he lives in Texas, because climate change remarks like Ted Cruz's might just be against the law in Wisconsin.
Well, I guess the only way to find out is to watch our next episode of Woke Wisconsin.
I guess so.
I'm so over winter.
Yo, same. I thrive in summer.
I'm literally a different person then.
I'm literally just so excited to go swimming and longboarding and to just get some sun. Like, I really need it. I really need it.
You really need some sun? Have you seen me?
What? I'm being serious.
Are you staying woke on Wisconsin's laws? Because I know I am. Hi, I'm your host, Melissa.
And I'm Abby.
Welcome back to Woke Wisconsin, where we help you stay woke on laws in Wisconsin that you may not have even known exist.
We hope that this episode brings you some warmth because the weather the past few days have been rough.
Oh my god, I have been so sun deprived. My skin as dry as the desert. My lips are so chapped that I can't even give my dog a kiss without her running away from me.
That's a really tragic love story there, bud.
Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. But
What? What?
you know what else is embarrassing?
What? What could possibly be more embarrassing?
I can't even ride a bike.
You can't.
Yeah, I know I don't want to talk about it.
That's actually not that embarrassing if you think about it. You know what's even more embarrassing than that?
What could be possibly more embarrassing than not knowing how to ride a bike?
The fact that it's illegal to ride a bike without your hands on the handlebars in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.
What the?
I know, right? Imagine riding a bike down the street and then accidentally removing your hands from the handlebar and then having the police pull you over. In front of your friends. Like,
that is actually so embarrassing. Like, I would hate my life. Well, that's it for today's episode.
Hope we woke you up this afternoon with this weird Wisconsin law. I'm Abby.
And I'm Melissa. Tune in next week to stay woke.
I guess we forgot to put that in.
We forgot. More like you forgot.
It's cold. I can't think when it's cold. Plus, we exchanged jobs in the middle of the week.
Well, Melissa, I don't know about you, but the best part of my week is when we get to see the flavor exchanger and his magnificent mask-making skills talk about his experience with unknown music artists and genres.
That's just because you actually ate today.
Hello, TC Weekly Pandemically Speaking viewers. It's your resident mask-making juggalo Will here. Today I'm bringing you an all-new episode of Flavor Exchanger, the show where my friends and family give me an album that I definitely haven't heard of before. I listen to it, and then I tell you what I thought of it. Today's album was suggested by my friend Russell, and it is Pink World by Planet P Project. Released in 1984 under producer Peter Hoke, the album is listed under the genres progressive rock and art rock, and it has a collective 26 tracks and a runtime of 78 minutes and 9 seconds. Oddly enough, Planet P Project is a pseudonym name for the solo project of Tony Carey, who has been in a handful of bands. Most notably, he played keyboard for Rainbow while Ronnie James Dio was the frontman. The top 5 tracks to me in just the playing order were track 3, Pink World, track 4, What I See, track 6, Power, track 15, This Perfect Place, and track 17, In the Zone. And this album was extremely a pleasant surprise for me to listen to. I'm really glad I did end up listening to it. It just screams 80s experimental music to me, and that is exactly what Tony Carey was going for when he was making it. And I just love the concept of just creating this secret new named band just to release all your new experimental stuff. And while reading up on the album and just Tony Carey in general, I realized that he and this album have almost a cult-like following. And while listening and also again reading into the album, I realized it tells a story of a nuclear dystopia where there's cameras everywhere, and there's a little boy who's 7 years old named Artemis who has a psychic field around the zone where people are living, and eventually he's just getting manipulated by the government to the point where he leaves and disappears. And all in all, this album's storytelling was absolutely phenomenal to me, and it is extremely well done. And the music made to pair with it is a perfect match to me as well. And I honestly think that the project deserves way more recognition than it already has. And that concludes this week's episode of Flavor Exchanger. If you liked what you saw and you'd like to see my other art shenanigans, check out my Instagram at Wisconsin_mask_collector or just Wisconsin Mask Collector on Facebook. Thank you.
I'm feeling very attacked right now.
I was just commenting on your impeccable eating habits. You ever wonder why they call it a cup of joe?
Don't change the subject.
Just answer the question.
I don't know. I just assumed someone named Joe went to Starbucks or something. I don't know.
Starbucks didn't even exist until 1971.
So that cure, that so-called cure that you talk about, it can't be worse than the problem. The problem is a bad problem.
On Tuesday, Biden addressed some of the questions plaguing the minds of so many Americans. He did this in his town hall, broadcasted on CNN for the whole nation to see. The questions, as asked by Wisconsin residents, were focused primarily not on the entirety of the American population, but on the future of the people of Wisconsin. It was a steep contrast to some of the town halls of former President Donald Trump.
2,200,000
That 2
people.
million figure, though, is if you literally
saved 2
did
million
nothing.
people.
The 2 million figure is if you did absolutely nothing, it would be 2 million. The question is, should the deaths be better than 200,000 when, relative to the rest of the world, we have a worse death rate?
I left North Carolina, which I love. I left Pennsylvania. We won a big case in Michigan because that governor has a lockdown where nobody but her husband can do anything. He can go boating and do whatever he wants, but nobody else can.
Last week, we discussed the Biden administration's vaccine rollout plan. This week, we're taking a look at the president's plans for a brighter future and a prediction of when our lives will get back to normal.
With that, I want to welcome the 46th President of the United States, President Joe Biden. When is every American who wants it going to be able to get a vaccine?
By the end of July of this year. We have now, by the end of July, we'll have over 600 million doses, enough to vaccinate every single American.
This is Justin Belot. He's a high school teacher from Milwaukee. He's a Democrat.
Why is it okay to put students and teachers in close proximity to each other with large class sizes and outdated ventilation systems? How and when do you propose this to occur?
Smaller classes, more protection, and I think that teachers and the folks who work in the school, the cafeteria workers and others, should be on the list of preferred to get a vaccination.
Are you committed to passing $1.9 trillion bill, or is that final number still up for negotiation?
I'm committed to pass. Look, it is estimated that if we pass this bill alone, we'll create 7 million jobs this year.
I want to introduce you to Carrie Ingebrecht, an independent from Oak Creek.
Our 19-year-old son was diagnosed with pediatric COPD at the age of 14. We've tried all we can to get him a vaccine. I hear of others who are less vulnerable getting it based on far less. Do you have a plan to vaccinate those who are most vulnerable sooner, to give them a priority?
The states make the decisions on who is in what order. I can make recommendations, and for federal programs, I can do that as President of the United States. But I can't tell the state, you must move such and such a group of people up. But here's what I'd like to do. I'll stay around after this is over, and maybe we can talk a few minutes and see if I can get you some help.
Johnson & Johnson could be authorized, a new vaccine from them could be authorized in a couple of weeks. That would be a big deal. Once that happens, given the urgency of these variants and the potential threat from them, should states stop giving priority to certain groups and just open vaccine access for everyone?
Well, it depends on how much they have available. I think there still should be priority groups in case there are not enough for everyone. There are some speculation. It may be that a certain vaccination for a certain strain may reduce from 95% to a lower percentage of certainty that it will keep you from getting...
It may not be as effective against a variant, but it still would be effective.
Still be effective. So the clear notion is, if you're eligible, if it's available, get the vaccine.
I mean, when is it going to be done? When are we going to get back to normal?
They tell me, be careful not to predict things that you don't know for certain what's going to happen, because then you'll be held accountable. I get that. But let me tell you what I think based on all that I've learned and all that I've studied and all that I think that I know. By next Christmas, I think we'll be in a very different circumstance, God willing, than we are today. I think a year from now, when it's 22 below zero here, a year from now, I think that there'll be significantly fewer people having to be socially distanced, have to wear masks, etc. But we don't know. We don't know for certain, but it is highly unlikely that by the beginning of next year's traditional school year in September, we are not significantly better off than we are today. It matters whether you continue to wear that mask. It matters whether you continue to socially distance. It matters whether you wash your hands with hot water. Those things matter. They matter. And that can save a lot of lives while we're getting to this point where we get to herd immunity.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have more questions for the President of the United States, Joe Biden. We'll be right back.
All right, well, I think it's safe to say that was the most informative 2 minutes of my life.
Indeed. I feel like a sponge.
In what way exactly? Like SpongeBob?
I don't think my brain has a file space to store any more useful information.
Of course. Well, you're going to have to try to fit in a few more minutes.
I only have a handy minute, so you better hurry up.
That's actually kind of perfect because...
Hello and welcome to another segment of A Handy Minute featuring a cat I raised in quarantine so she doesn't know what to do when we are separated. Today we'll be talking about door hinges and their squeaks and how to fix them so that you too can survive a noise apocalypse if it so happens to go down that way. It's 2021, who knows what'll happen. For today's project we will need a can of WD-40 and possibly a screwdriver and hammer depending on your hinges. Cleaning solution, all-purpose solution is recommended as well. The first step is to diagnose which hinge you need to clean today, if not more than one. Once they're there, pop out the pin. If you need to use your screwdriver and hammer, go ahead and do so. Approach it from the bottom. And if you look at that gunk, that is why we don't use cooking spray for this project. It will gum up and attract dirt. Now then go ahead and clean your hinge if you need to with that all-purpose cleaner. Scrub, 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 and then apply your WD-40. You don't need a fine nose nozzle, but it does help. Once you've got all of that in, make sure to apply it to the pin as well. Wipe away the excess and reinsert the pin. Try your door, and if it squeaks, repeat the process. And that's it. That's the whole shebang. Now you can either survive a noise apocalypse or not wake up your roommates at 3 a.m. going to the bathroom after your midnight snack binge. I will catch you in another segment of A Handy Minute, but right now, back to our hosts.
Wow, talk about time flying when you're having fun.
That was the longest 2 minutes of my entire life. Information overload.
Well, it's a good thing we can count on Zale and Damien to turn up the heat with Behind Bars.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today on Behind Bars, we take a look at artists that took their bars a little bit too seriously. Let's take a deep dive right now.
Donald Trump ain't the only one beating cases. On December 23rd, 2019, Lil Wayne, aka Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., was caught and charged with guns and ammunition as a felon.
Where I come from, you have to be good with the hands. In May 2019, Kodak Black found it necessary to arm himself with weapons or was fearful for his life as he faced charges and was convicted to federal incarceration for up to 46 months.
Looks like Trump not only knows how to beat indictments. In his last day in office, Trump pardons both rappers for giving them of all charges.
You know who could have used some legal advice? The big homie, Suge Knight.
Suge really stood behind his bars as he was sentenced with 28 years for manslaughter.
True story. I remember it like yesterday. And I'm sure the whole world thought he was guilty if they ever seen him in action or listened to his music.
I can definitely see that big guy hanging me over the railing.
Reports say, after a long 7 years, Bobby Shmurda will be schmurdering again, as he is being released, scheduled February 23rd.
I wonder how being behind bars will affect his bars in the future.
Well, February has been known for its massacres, and February 2019 was no different. YNW Melly, aka Jamel Maurice Demons.
Demons?
Demons. Arrested and charged, 2 counts of first-degree murder, facing life behind bars, or death if convicted. But in his bars, he stated that he had murder on his mind. I guess you could say all these artists lived their bars and made it behind bars.
This was an in-depth look at the stars behind the bars, where we can see that you could go from triumph to travesty, one bad lyric at a time.
So I don't really know what's going on with Abby right now, so we're probably just gonna end the show here, I guess. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Abby.
Oh my god.
What? What happened? What did I miss?
And this has been
Pandemically Speaking.